Today you're going to be starting your acrylic unit. The first thing you're going to need to do is prepare your paint palette. This is a reusable, stay wet paint palette. It's going to keep your paints wet in between your working days. Take the sponge out over to the sink and run it under the water for a few seconds, about 10 to 15 seconds. You want to make sure that the sponge fully soaks up the water. Carefully wring it out so that it's not dripping, but it's still pretty wet. Put it in the bottom of your paint palette, and then you're going to do the same thing with the palette paper. This palette paper is reusable. You want to run it under the water for about 20 seconds to make sure that it's absorbing some of the water, and then you're going to let it drip off so that it's not pooling water on the top. Place it on top of the sponge, put the lid on, and then place it back in your bag. Next, you're going to prepare your color sampler worksheet. You're going to need a few paper towels, a cup of water, your worksheet, your paint palette that you just prepared, and your cups of paint, paintbrushes. On the worksheet, you're going to start by labeling your colors. You're going to need to use both the light and dark values of the primary colors, and also choose one of the browns to use. I'm first labeling my colors on the top and along the side. Once my colors are labeled, I'm going to follow the grid to mix my paints. So notice that I'm starting with my first color, which was the light yellow. And because at the top and the side it says color number 1, that box is just going to be colored in with the straight up light yellow. For the box that is to the right of that, it says that it's color 1 plus color 2. So my color 2 is my dark yellow, so I'm going to mix a little bit of my light yellow with my dark yellow, and then I'm going to fill in that box. The box underneath it also says color 1 and number 2. So this time I'm going to take a little bit more of my color 2, mix it, and then I'm going to paint in that box. I'm going to continue to do this until I have the whole top row filled and the side rows. So next I'm taking my color number 1, and I'm going to mix a little bit of my color number 3 into it. Color number 3 is red. Down below, I see that it's still color number 1 and color number 3, so this time I'm going to mix a little bit more color number 3 into it. Then you're just going to follow along the boxes, making sure that you're mixing the right colors with each other. It's really important that you rinse your brush and dry it in between each of your color swatches. You don't want this paint to look like it's watered down. You're probably gonna have to clean your paint palette in the middle of this worksheet. There's quite a few color swatches that you're making. The paint palette paper can be washed and reused. So when you have filled it, all you need to do is go to the sink and wash it. You can use a scrub brush on it. The paint palette paper is pretty durable. Once the water is running clean, you know that it's ready to reuse. It's gonna be stained with your previous colors, but as long as the paint is not coming off in a color, the water's running clear, then you know that the paint's been cleared off, and you can just reload it into your box and use it again. To finish the worksheet, you're going to create tints, tones, and shades of each color. So I'm reloading my color number 1 to begin, which is my light yellow. I'm going to put some white and some black on my palette paper as well. A tint is when you are adding white to make the color lighter. A tone is when you're mixing the color with gray to lessen the intensity of the color, make it less bright. And a shade is when you're adding black or mixing the color with just a little bit of black to darken the color. So that's how you're going to finish the worksheet. For each of your colors, you're going to mix a tint, a tone, and a shade to fill in the remaining boxes. So I'm first mixing my yellow with white to make my tint. Then I'm going to mix my yellow with a little bit of gray to make my tone. And finally, I'll mix my yellow with just a very small amount of black to make my shade. You'll repeat this for all of the colors until the worksheet is complete. When you're finished, you're going to have a paint mixing matrix that's going to show you all the colors that you can make from just this limited paint palette that you started with.